Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another week of analysis, another week of preparation with me, T.Mayne. And in today's weekly analysis, we're gonna go through 5 different pairs. So we're gonna start off with Aussie CAD. We're gonna go to AUDJPY, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar CAD, and New Zealand dollar JPY. Those are the 5 pairs that we're gonna get into in this week's analysis. And as usual, guys, I'm gonna keep this analysis as educational as possible, so that even if you're watching this after these moves have happened, you still see the concepts that we use, the concepts that I use rather, to actually find and forecast these moves in the market. So let's get into Aussie CAD, guys. On Aussie CAD, we'll stick to, or at least I'd like to just reduce our analysis to stick down on the H4. So guys, on the H4, what we will see here on Aussie CAD is a market that has previously found support in that area, then pushed up, violating some previous higher structures over there on our left hand side, and then obviously now correcting back to this support structure. In addition, if we look at the most recent price action here, what we will see is a market that has been decelerating towards that major higher time frame support. So we do see this small corrective structure over here decelerating towards this important support structure, where we saw some buyers jumping in. We see a nice impulsive move to the upside from this important support area that we expected to be respected on our higher time frames. Now what we've done is we've isolated our structure and we've identified this expanding structure or this descending structure over here. We'll just also slap in that support trend line so that we can all see this expanding structure clearly, this descending structure. And what we will see is that we've had our 3 touches at the bottom. So we've had our first touch there, second touch there, and at our third touch, we see a nice impulsive move from this market. On our resistance side, we've had our first touch, we've had our second touch, and at the third touch, what do we see? We see prices violating this resistance trend line in a corrective manner. So with that being said, our most recent price action is obviously showing us that there's no impulsive break of structure. So what we've then done is we identified our impulsive move in this market, and that is this impulsive move right here. We've identified this as our impulsive move, and we are isolating our next corrective structure. So we then identified this as our corrective structure over here on the H4. And what we can see is that we have a new potential 3-touch structure. So we're seeing prices creating lows, creating highs, creating lows, creating highs. So we have new lows right here at the bottom, or let's rather say that this is our major structure: lows, highs, lows over there, and I guess highs over there. So what we can expect from this market obviously is for that 3-touch structure to complete, where we come and complete our third touch within these areas here. If we do come up and complete this third touch, this is an area where we will be looking for reversal structures to the downside. Now with that being said, guys, this is the short-term trade that we are looking to take on Aussie CAD. If we do see this third touch here, we will have the appropriate probabilities to begin to look for a sell. Now remember, our long higher time frame structure is, or rather what we are expecting on our high time frames, is for bullish price action. So how we are going to approach this is, if this structure completes, we're going to expect the short-term sell. We're going to look to manage our trade by the time we get to important support areas. Though if prices do give us that move to the downside, whether or not we're in this sell, our main objective is to look for the higher time frame buy. Higher time frame structure is in a corrective structure, a descending corrective structure, and we know that descending structures normally break to the upside. So what we are looking to capitalize on is the higher time frame momentum to the top, to previous resistance structures that the market might be attracted to. So if we do see this price actually make this move to the downside, this is the area where we will be looking for our higher time frame momentum to take us bullish. This is the forecast. This is the move that we're going to focus on. This is our short-term sell that we might see over the course of next week. And this is the bias, the directional biases that we will have over the course of next week on Aussie CAD. Now let's go on to the next pair, guys. We'll go on to AUDJPY. We'll also just restrict ourselves to the H4 here on Aussie Yen. Now what we can see on Aussie Yen is that Aussie Yen has been in an ascending corrective structure. So we have been ascending, we have our resistance trend line over there, we also have our support trend line over here. I kind of just deleted the support trend line just so that I can have some clarity on this most recent price action that's happening in these areas here. So if we go to that most recent price action, what we will see is a market that has impulsed away from our resistance area, a key resistance area. Over there, we've seen this nice impulsive move to the downside, and after we've created that impulsive move down, we've entered into a corrective structure. Now, what we anticipated over the course of last week was for price to actually complete the structure at this third touch, give us that reversal structure for us to be able to take a sell, and then we ride that short term, that long-term selling momentum to the downside. Now, because prices didn't really come and give us that third touch and have already started moving to the downside, what we're looking for is to jump in on any corrective structures that might form as long as we are outside of this overall corrective structure. We want to follow the impulse correction, impulse nature of the market, and we're going to align ourselves on the sell side of things. Now, if prices do break back into structure over the course of next week, what we will look for is for the completion of this larger structure. So regardless of where we get this sell position, whether that sell position presents itself to us after we've violated this corrective structure here, or if that sell position ends up presenting itself back at these important resistance areas that we're looking to take, guys, long term, we want to align ourselves on the sell side of things in the direction of this initial momentum here that has brought us into this larger time frame corrective structure. So we're expecting the next impulsive move to be to the downside of this structure just because of the impulse correction, impulse nature of this market. Yes, there is a possibility that prices can come up and give us our third touch of higher time frame structure before the sell, but all we are doing is being reactive to the market and trading the most recent price action that we do see. If prices do come up to the upside, then we will begin to look for our selling opportunities at our next area of value. So that's the forecast. That's the directional bias for AUDJPY over the course of next week. We are looking to jump into those selling positions, waiting for either those continuation structures to form outside of our corrective structure or for those reversal structures to form at the top at our key resistance area. Let's go on to the next pair. We'll go on to Aussie dollar. Now for this pair, I am going to need to go on to the daily because we're going to be exercising a lot of patience on this pair because we have been in a very, very, very corrective market for a very long time on AUDUSD. Now, if we go back, we can see that our corrective structure started all the way on the 5th of January or around the 5th of January at the beginning of this year. And this whole year, guys, this whole year, AUDUSD has been within this corrective structure, obviously manipulating this corrective structure to the upside once around February. So looking at the most recent price action, we'll just take into account our highs and lows, identifying this as our impulsive move to the downside that has violated structure. And then looking at the most recent swings, what we will see, we have lows, we have highs, we have lows. Where are the next set of highs to have been formed after the previous highs? It's these highs over here. And then where the next set of lows, it's these lows over here. Hence, we've drawn in our structure. So we've identified our major swing highs and our major swing lows, and we've isolated our structure, expecting some sort of impulse correction, impulse nature to the downside. With that being said, guys, we do understand that at the current moment, there is potential for AUDUSD to give us a nice three-touch structure. So we do expect prices to actually come into this area here to give us this third touch of structure so that we can be in on a long-term or higher time frame sell side momentum. So how will we be able to capitalize or actually get a directional bias off this higher time frame daily structure that we are looking at? What we do see on the H4 is a market that has been in a descending structure. What do we know about descending structures? Descending structures, more often than not, break to the upside. So what we'll be waiting for on AUDUSD is for AUDUSD to test previous levels of structure. We have this previous support structure that was manipulated to the downside. Let me just put that structure back on. We have this previous support structure over there on our left hand side right here that was manipulated to the downside, and prices, we did see prices breaking back above this level of support that had been broken and closed below. So we understand that this is a manipulation below a level of structure. So what we are expecting, that if price does impulse to this area, we'll be looking for reversal structures that will form in and around that price region, previous support structures over there. We will also have our confluence of our higher time frame support structure. Now, anyone would tell you that it makes more sense to buy from a support and to sell from a resistance, and at the current moment in time, we have a lot of support converging in one or around one price region. So because prices seem to be impulsing to the downside, we'll need to wait for that reversal structure to give us that confirmation to enter into the buy. If we see prices correcting to the downside, then we will have that confirmation of actually looking for a type of risk entry. Otherwise, guys, if we see prices creating a continuation structure, then let us sit on our hands, expect a potential third touch of this descending structure before we see that impulsive move to the upside to complete our higher time frame structure. So we'll be reacting to how price action develops. If we see continuation, we expect downside. If we see reversal, then we are happy in the direction that we're looking to trade, and we trade that upside momentum. Where is the next area where we're looking to sell? Where, if and when prices do eventually get to this resistance area, to that third touch area, that is the next area of value where we will be looking for our reversal structures for any higher time frame momentum to actually violate this corrective structure long term to the downside. So that is the directional bias for AUDUSD over the course of next week. We are looking for a mid to long term buy, and then we are looking to catch that higher time frame momentum on the sell side in the future. So obviously this is very far in the future. Let us focus ourselves, let us focus our eyes on seeing if price gives us that reversal structure to be able to capitalize on this potential buy from those price regions there. So that is the analysis for AUDUSD, guys. Let's go on to our NZD based pairs. We'll start off with NZDCAD. Now on NZDCAD, guys, we are on the 4 hour. We're going to restrict ourselves to going to staying on the 4 hour if it's not necessary for us to go on to the other time frames. So on the 4 hour, what we do see is this support structure over here. We've already identified our two important support areas, slapped on a support trend line to get an idea of what is the current downtrend that is being held on the H4 and as well as higher time frames. This is also a daily structure. So if we look at the most recent price action, what we can see is that price is giving us some characteristics of a downtrending market. We have extreme highs in this area. Price has created lows. We have lower highs, we have lower lows, and then since lower highs. Now we can't confirm this to be a lower swing high because price hasn't actually broken and closed below the swing low, but we can confirm this to be a swing area. We are not sure yet whether it's a swing high. Prices can easily break above that area and then create an actual swing high over there by violating structure afterwards, but that's obviously so far in the future. Let's not even go into that. Let's just speak about what we're going to see over the course of next week and what's going to give us reason to take action on this pair. So we have a descending structure. We know that descending structures normally break to the upside. We also have a set of almost equal lows, understanding that liquidity rests below these lows. Now, what do we know? If markets want to make that move to the upside, markets need to sell in order to buy. So that's exactly what we're going to expect here on NZDCAD. We also know that we have some higher time frame structure denoted by this orange line over there. That's higher time frame support areas or lows. So we are going to pay attention to, first of all, how does price make its descent? If we impulse, then we wait for that reversal structure for the continuation. Though if price gives us a nice, beautiful corrective structure towards our support, we'll be able to begin to look for our risk entries for a potential move with good risk to reward ratios and obviously good probabilities because we are at higher time frame support structures. We do have a higher time frame descending structure. We are currently at or around the region of the third touch of this high time frame descending structure. So we have loads of reasons to support, loads of confluences, I guess, aligning within these areas for us to be looking for those bullish bias setups. All we need to do is wait for the price action to give us that setup. Like I said, if markets impulse to this area, let's be patient, wait for that reversal, make sure all sellers are out of this market before we enter the buy. If prices do correct to our level of importance, then that opens us up to begin to look for our risk entries. So nonetheless, we're bullish bias on on NZDCAD, and we're going to wait for those bullish bias setups to form after we violate our lower structure. Now that's the bias, that's the directional bias, guys. We have one direction that we're looking for. We are not interested in selling NZDCAD because we have higher time frame support structures. On NZDCAD, we're only looking for those buying opportunities, waiting for structure to turn into bullish bias structure. Now let's go on to NZDJPY. On NZDJPY, guys, we'll stay on the H4. What we can see is that higher time frame, we do have this ascending structure here. What do we know about ascending structures? Ascending structures normally break to the downside. So we know that higher time frame, we're expecting a violation of structure to the downside. What we can see on the H4, if we isolate and just pay attention to our most recent price action, what we do see here is some conflicting price action. So higher time frame, we're expecting sell side momentum. Lower time frame, what we can see is price establishing highs, establishing lows, and then violating higher structure. What do we see about this violation? This is an impulsive break of previous resistance structures. Now, because of this impulsive break of structure, we know after every impulsive move there needs to be a corrective structure. So what we've done is we've isolated this structure and identified the nature of this price action here and the nature of this price action here, and we've seen the differences and identified this to be our impulsive move and this to be our corrective move. In this corrective structure, what we do see is a potential three-touch structure. We have support there, we have support there, we could have potential support at our third touch. Where does that third touch align? That third touch aligns with previous support structures where we saw buyers sending prices higher, even able to violate swing highs. So we know that this is an important support area where we saw a lot of impulsive buying from, and price is correcting to that support. So this information on our lower time frame conflicts with the information that we want to see happening on our higher time frame. Higher time frame, we want to see impulsive moves to the downside. Now, how we're going to approach this is we're going to approach this paying strict attention to the price action, guys. We are impulsing to an area of support. We can't be selling into a support. So we need to wait for price action to give us reasons to enter the markets in the directions that we want to. Remember, price action right now is showing us a potential buy. We also are approaching support. So what we could wait for is if we see that reversal structure at the third touch or at the support level that we've identified as our H4 support, then we could be looking for those buying opportunities. Where would I be looking to manage this trade? I would be looking to manage this full position at previous resistance that was broken to the upside and broken back below. So we're anticipating or expecting that this resistance can still be respected. Now, how do we jump in back on that higher time frame sell side momentum? Because remember, higher time frame, we're in an ascending structure and we're expecting ascending structures to break to the downside. What we do see is a potential to create a nice head and shoulders structure. So we do have our left shoulder here, our neckline, our head, and obviously if prices come down and give us this push to the upside, we will be coming to a region where we will complete our right shoulder, and we are going to be paying attention to two things. First of all, how does price make this move to the upside? If we impulse, then we wait for our reversal structure and then we jump in on the trade. If we see prices correcting to this area of structure, then guys, that is the most beautiful thing to happen to our pair NZDJPY. We'll have amazing confluences to jump in on that higher time frame sell side momentum. If we do see prices correcting after this, we've already got confirmation of prices breaking and closing below our ascending trend line. We just don't like the price action because of the nature of the most recent price action, so we can't be looking to sell immediately. What we need to do is exercise patience, give the market enough time. We're either going to find this buy over the course of next week, or we're going to find an opportunity to hop in on the sell side momentum. If our sell side structure is not as big as we're assuming it's going to be, if it doesn't really actually get to those resistance areas, what we could be waiting for, or what we could be looking at, is actually looking at our most recent price action, identifying previous support structures that were violated to the downside. After every impulsive move, guys, comes a corrective structure. We need to see whether this corrective structure is a continuation structure. If it's a continuation structure, guys, and we're going into previous support that's now resistance, and we've broken our higher time frame support structure, that is reason to sell. So all our job is to be reactive to the market, to know which directions and what structure will give us the probabilities of that trade that we want to take in that direction. If we see a double top in this area, or a head and shoulders in this area at previous support that was broken, and we're expecting higher time frame momentum to be to the downside, that's a valid logical entry. If we see this corrective structure giving us a reversal structure at the bottom, that's a logical entry, guys. So we're going to be reacting to the market price action. We know exactly where our optimal buy areas are, where our optimal sell areas are, and we're going to want to align our trades around these zones, looking to buy low and looking to sell high. So that's kind of the logic that I would like to approach NZDJPY with. We want to be in on the higher time frame sell side momentum, but price action right now is giving us potential buys. So guys, hope you guys actually enjoyed the whole analysis. We went through all of these pairs, went through the individual concepts that I use to actually be able to make my trading decisions. Try to keep it as educational as possible. Now, if you have received value and you've watched till the end, thank you so much for watching till the end. Though if you have received value, obviously drop this video a like. Let me know that this video was beneficial to you, that it did help you obviously do something better or approach the markets in a better way. Otherwise, if it's your first time on the channel, definitely do subscribe, because we do drop value like this every single week. This has become a routine for us, guys. We here every single week dropping this weekly analysis, and I don't want you guys to miss out on anything. We also get the opportunity, guys, to follow up each and every week and see how do our structures develop, how do our structures either respect our forecast or disrespect our forecast and do something totally different. By us following this routine and meeting up every week, we're also developing our eye, we're developing our whole position adjustment, management, all of that nice good stuff, guys. We're learning about structure together every single week, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. Now, guys, this is T.Mayne, your FX Chasers mentor. I'll see you guys in the future videos. Cheers.